Okay, so thank you, George. So we are talking about the key points in liquid feeding, and thank you to Gonzalo to translate also this presentation. So I think mostly dry feeding is used, but we can see, especially in Europe, an increase of the liquid feeding, and it's important to know how to well manage it. And my phrase of the day, it's whatever you use, you have to well manage it. Just a short description about liquid feeding. Usually we have a mixer, which is here, a mixer tank, and from this mixer, when you put raw materials, the feeding is sent to the pipe and to the trough by a pump, so in a pipe, and in mostly now you have a rest tank at the end of the pipe. That means you don't have any feed in the pipes, but only water. But in some old installations, you don't have this rest tank. Here, in this drawing, you have a pre-mixer tank. In some case, you have this kind of tank, especially when the farmer uses some liquid raw materials like whey or anything else, and also raw materials what's dry also, and they need to move in a liquid part, and to prepare these raw materials, they have a specific pre-mixer tank before the mixer tank. So to well manage the liquid feeding and the device, you have to input in the device, in the software of the device, the component or raw materials. So you have to take account about this. You have also to input the formulas or receipt of the different meals. And then it is quite important to organize the distribution table. And also, of course, you have to input feeding plans. So it's the main part of the liquid feeding. And then you have the system elements, but this part of the software you have is the device. It's more for technical support from the supplier. So we are going through the different important part of the device, and then we go through some checking points which are quite important. So first, the raw materials. It's of course an important part. And you have to record the raw materials according what the device is organized. That means that in most of the case you have to record or input the raw materials per kilo gross. But in some case they have to be recorded according the cereal equivalent, and in some cases in dry matter. So that means you have to take care about how the raw materials have to be recorded. The other point, what is quite important, is that the raw materials is linked to the good silo, to be sure that they are the input to prepare the meal will be good. In this table, I have given an example that the raw materials are recorded has per kilo gross. So, for example, here for the whey, you can see it's 60 grams per kilo, 940 grams of water, and the percentage of humidity, it's 94%. The other quite important table is the formula of recipe of raw materials. So that means here I give you in this table example of feed gestation, and one is record according the percentage of cereal equivalent, and the other one is record in per kilo growth or growth rate. You can see it's quite different, and it's important to have in mind and that your device can be different.
Just a moment, Michel. The first one is based. The second one is on dry matter. Base.
No, it's per kilograms. You can see 80% of agua and 3% of soya. So it's per kilo gross weight here. And here it's a percentage on equivalent cereal or cereal equivalent.
Cereal equivalent?
Or dry material.
Dry matter. Okay.
Yeah. And to be honest, I have seen some mistake, especially where there are a change in the receipt, and farmers forget that's the way to record. So it's I insist, but it's quite important. The third thing, it's quite important to input in the device is the distribution tables. The distribution tables determine all the schedule of all meals. That means, do you start the day by a gestation meal or a lactations or a fattening? So you organize the meals how you want during the day. It's also determine the set of valves which are switched on or switched off, and the percentage of level you give to the pigs for in each valve. So it's yes, it's also quite important to have to know of how the valves are organized in all the barns. In this table of the set of valves, you change or you modified all the mortality, the departure of animals, or anything else can be happen on the pens. And that means if, for example, if you have all the pigs go out to the slaughterhouse, you have to indicate on the software that the pens it's empty, and to switch on, to switch off, sorry, the valve of this pen, of this trough. Another point which is quite important on this table is the use of the percentage label. That means that you can organize the quantity you give to the pigs according the feeding plan we'll see later. What is quite important is the percentage of the level you on this table, because it permits you, allow you, sorry, to change the quantity of feed give to the animals. To give you an example, if you give, if you have plan in the feeding plan to give 5 kilo on a sow in lactation, if I reduce the percentage by 20%, that means, in fact, I give to the sow 4 kilo. What the farmer usually use, and that the device allow, it's to reduce the quantity. So as the example given previously, if I give 80% of 5 kilo, that means 4, but the software allow me to indicate the number of the day to recover the level, the 20%. So, for example, if I give 80%, I can decide that in 3 days, the sow recover the 100%. The last thing what is quite important on the distribution table is especially if you don't have a rest tank, as we showed in the draw previously, it's the organization or the ranking of the meals, of all the meals. In this case, we usually recommend to start by fattening pigs, and then go to gestation, and then go to lactation, and so on. And of course, you have to input or to record the different feeding plans of according each category of animals. And yeah.
No, go ahead.
And so for this, you have to take care about the criteria used. Is it the age? Is it the weight? Or is it a time according, for example, the first day of at the entry? So you have to take care about the criteria, which is the main important according to the feeding plan. This update is quite important. On my side, it's in France, it's a real problem we have. Farmer use feeding plan, especially in fattening, that they use since 5 or sometimes more years. So it's quite important to update regularly the feeding plan. Here you have an example of a feeding plan, fattening feeding plan used in France. You can see the usual start, it's by 45 grams per kilo live weight, and an increase around 27 or 28 grams a day. You can see here the weight, and you have also the age. So the weight and the age, yes. And what is quite important, as I told you before, is that is it the weight, what is the base criteria on the software, on the device, or is it the age? So it's different, and of course you have to take care about this.
So you forgot to tell the yellow square that you have.
Yes, sorry, yes, exactly. Thank you, Gonzalo. So yes, here you have two curves, sorry, feeding curves we use in France. Now it's a curve from P90 or Excellium boar offspring, and we use more the one which is a yellow square, and to go until 28 megajoule net energy. This one is for farmer who want to limitate a little bit net energy intake a day. It was usual in France, it's old habit to limit quantity in liquid feeding. And now we try to change this habit to go in a higher level of net energy intake a day. So we have seen the main point you have to input and to record on the software of the device. So now we are going on what is the main point you have to check to ensure a good management of the device. The first thing which is quite important in the liquid feeding mixer, it's the weighting device. The mixer is put on a scale in 3 points, and it's quite important that there is any charge from pipes or elevator who can change the weight of the device, of the mixer. In this picture, you can see here the pipe is linked in a link which is not flexible to the pump from the tank. So it could be a problem to have a good weight. You have the same thing here in the second red cycle. You can see that the pipes are also fixed to the tank, so it's not good. But okay, in this one, you can see there are plastic link, so that means it's not fixed to the tank. So here it's good. So it is important, as I told you, to check the weighting system, and for this you can use standard weight. Usually we recommend to use 150 kilo. So that means to put, as there are 3 points of weighting system, put 15 kilo on each point, so to can see if there are a good weighting system. I think you have precised what I want to say. Yes, you have to do it when the tank is empty, half load or full, and the difference have to be low that 2%. So at each stage, and it's quite important. You can have no difference when the tank is empty, but you can find big difference when the tank is full. So and it could be also the opposite. So it's quite important to check at least twice a year, and the best is 4 times a year. The other way you can also check, and I recommend to check this 1 time a month, it's to check a preparation of a meal or different meals, and to be sure that what it is planned on the device, it's exactly the same that the device do. When you have to do this, you have to check not only the weight of each raw materials, but also to check that the proportions it's good. So perhaps you have to prepare, for example, 1,500 kilos, and in fact he prepare 1,450 kilos. So it's not so bad, but the proportions of each are strictly the same. The second thing we have to check, it's the quality of the distribution. So by the quality of the distribution, that means homogeneity, but also the quantity drop in each trough. Sorry. So here you can see how we test homogeneity. we use plastic bottles, and we take samples directly in different troughs, some one at the beginning, some other one at the middle, and then at the end of each pipeline. And then we keep the samples around 1 hour to look at the proportions of the sediment we have in each plastic bottle. So when you take the samples, you don't take care to have exactly the same amount of the same levels of each bottle, because you can't. And what it is important and what we take into account, we check the proportions of sediment of each bottle. And you can see on the second picture here, so that we measure the height of the total liquid. For here it's 22 centimeter, and the proportions of the sediment here around 15 centimeter. So it's what we record and what is important to measure. So when you have like this around 10 samples.
So Michel, a question that I have, these are kind of 2-liter bottles of water?
Here it's 1 liter and a half.
1.5 liter bottle. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you can use yes. I think it's you need at least 1 liter bottle to take good samples. If you have some other content less than 1 liter, I think it could be difficult. But yes, 1 liter it's okay. So after I've done the measurement, I have on my side I have a table to calculate the percentage of sediment. So, but I take into account not only the percentage, but also the average of the percentage. So, for example, here, example given by an average by 50.2, and usually we take into account that there is no more 3% of difference according to the average. So, in the example given, it's not good. The other thing I calculate, it's the standard deviations, and to calculate at the end the variations coefficient, and this coefficient have to be lower than 10%, and it's better if it is lower than 5%. So if you have some, if you have a matter with heterogeneity, the distribution, that means homogeneity is higher than 10%, you have to ask your supplier to recheck the device. That is, it could be a very big problem in the growth of in the fattening pig, for example, and it's absolutely it's important to solve this problem.
Sorry, Michel, I got lost.
So I say that if you have a problem in the homogeneity, that means you have a variation coefficients higher than 10%. Mm-hmm. You have to ask to your device supplier, to the technical support, that they come to check the device and to solve the problem, because it could be a very big problem in the growth of the pigs. The other thing that you can check about distributions is the real quantity, the real weight put in trough, in some trough. By the way, it's difficult to do, because you have to divert the outputs of the valves and it's not easy to do if you don't have a system that can allow you to do it. So as a maintenance, you have also to realize some different things. The first one is to clean the tank when the soup or the liquid filling is prepared. So the mixer tank, it's important to clean each day, to have a daily cleaning with water. So now more and more liquid systems are take this into account, and they are automatically pipes that clean the system. What we recommend is also to circulate food acid in the pipe, the circuits every week, to check or to control the fermentation in the pipes. About food acid, we think about organic acid like formic acid or something like this. In case you have fermentations drift in the pipes, the main solution is to clean all the pipes, and for this we recommend to clean with a base product and then circulate an acid, and all the contents will be put on disposed of in the pits.
En el caso de que tengamos un proceso de fermentación en las tuberías, se debe limpiar primero con un producto básico, luego un producto ácido, y todo el contenido se desecha en las fosas y no se debe dar a los animales. Have you ever seen any farmer giving that to the animal after they clean a pipe with fermentation?
No, because we always farmer. With acid, we can. I have seen, but when the farmer use base, usually they think to put in on the pits. There is no problem.
Okay.
So in the summer also we recommend to clean with acid more often. So for sure at least once a week. Especially when you use some feed industry product like whey, yogurt, and so on, you can have an increase of fermentation, and it's you have to take care about this. And acid is a good way to control the fermentation. Okay, so remember, whatever you use, you have to well manage it. Thank you for your attention.